Good morning.
Hello, everybody.
I feel like maybe we should have some music getting ready when we intro to be like that.
Oh, maybe we should do that.
Wouldn't we need to come up with our own theme song though, so YouTube doesn't kick you off?
That's a possibility. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. Holly's told me that when she posts, when she has posted videos to YouTube, and YouTube recognizes songs she doesn't own the rights to, that it doesn't want to let her post them. So we'd have to come up with our own theme music to start with.
Yes.
I know I have a musician in the family. He could write us a good...
You do. That would be perfect.
It'd all be bass lines, but...
Do you guys care if it would all be bass lines, or would you be okay with like something to listen to while we're waiting for people to join?
Right.
So I'm pulling up the feed. If you would, while we're waiting for other nail professionals to join, go ahead and hit the share button and share the broadcast so that other nail professionals can definitely all join us.
We're lopsided, just cutting off half your face.
We are lopsided, my bad.
We want to see all of Holly's face, especially since it's still with us.
No. None of that.
You better have a better day than you did last month after our last broadcast.
Right, that was the night of the broadcast.
It was.
I didn't put two and two together. But now are we... Okay, now are we good?
I think we're better.
Like, it didn't want to move over just that little bit.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
You can see all my fun stuff behind us.
So I'll click on this so that I can...
Bass is cool. That's right, Annette. Bass is cool. My son is the bass player. Was for a long time a bass player in a hard rock band. He described his band there called Blacked Out World, that if Metallica and Black Sabbath had a baby, it would be them.
Perfect.
So yeah, we'd get some heavy bass lines in here.
Any thumbs up for people who know what that is? See if we have any metalheads in the house.
That's right.
Ooh, New Zealand. Howdy.
Good morning, New Zealand.
Thanks for getting out of bed. North Carolina.
See, Marcy says, I hope you're feeling better.
Oh, yes. I am feeling so much better.
And good morning, Morgan. Good morning, Shirley.
I'm about 80% back to myself. Ooh, New Jersey.
Say Marilyn from New Jersey.
Nice.
Is it Jersey? Is it Joyzy? I say that from the Midwest. I have no accent. No.
Right. Like
the Midwest where there is no accent. And Vegas. Good morning,
ooh,
Vegas.
Makes me feel like I should buckle down my wallet. No gambling for me.
Supernatural's having a con in Vegas. It's one of the best ones on their circuit. I should come down and visit.
Oh, there you go. What is CDMX?
Okay, please. I was going to ask that too. So, Guadalupe, what is CDMX? Mexico? Yes. I'm going to go with Mexico. What would be the CD?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yay, a metalhead! Woo!
Woo!
Sweet.
We're so easily entertained. Yes, we are.
Oh, I forgot to share. I pulled up the broadcast,
oh, yes.
And then I forgot to share.
We got all sidetracked. We started talking about music and dancing. And
it's kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
But I'm so excited to see our viewers. So it's like, start having a conversation. And
I love logging on and seeing who's all joining us today.
All right. Sharing to the Fingernail Fixer page.
North Carolina.
Nice. Is it warmer in North Carolina than it is here? I know it's warmer in New Zealand because it's summer. Why is that doing that?
Don't hit snooze. That just makes it go off again.
I thought I hit stop. Let me double check.
Her timer.
Yes, I hit stop. And I put it on silent.
Okay.
So I shouldn't do that again. Oops. All right. Now, what was I doing? Oh, sharing. Again. Yes. Share it to the Holly page.
Oh, I see a Union Jack there. I'm guessing that's somebody joining us from the UK.
Nice. I feel like the UK is one of my homes away from home. I love to go there.
I've only been there once, but I would go back again in a heartbeat if I could.
Right.
I'd want to visit more of the country.
Yes.
I got to visit a little bit of London. Got to do a Jack the Ripper walking tour.
Nice.
I'm morbid. I thought that was fascinating.
Well, we did do the cemetery tour.
Well, we did that in Nolans. I got to visit Weymouth, which is down on the English Channel, and I got to mark off an item off my bucket list, which was going to see Stonehenge.
I do want to see that.
That was very cool.
That's something I need to do.
Yep, Yorkshire. There we go.
Oh, brilliant.
We also have somebody from Massachusetts. If I make it back to the UK, I'm supposed to visit Gemma, who also was in my boot camp. But I want to make it up to Scotland. I gotta go see Men in Kilts. It's a weakness.
And you just have to see Scotland. Like,
yes.
That is one of the places, as soon as I step off the plane, my gypsy soul is like, I'm home. It's the most bizarre feeling. And it happens every time I go to Scotland.
Really?
It's like I just belong there. It's so bizarre.
I did the 23andMe, DNA testing, and I'm like 99.9% Northern European, like Irish, Scottish, German, English. I'm like, could have told you that without even having to look.
Right? Nice.
And Michelle has a cottage in Scotland. Do you rent it out?
Right?
Is that can be like an Airbnb or?
Actually, Sarah says only in North Carolina can you have winter and summer temps in the same week.
I don't know. Try Iowa.
Yes, we actually had a week that there was a 97-degree temperature difference from
in 4 days.
Yes, one day to the fourth day.
Like
and
Monday to Friday, Monday to Wednesday or something.
The lower temperature was negative 40 something.
Oh, that was just 2 weeks ago.
Iowa. Yeah. So it was it was insane.
Yeah. Wind chills were minus 50, and then that was a Wednesday, and by Sunday they were in the 50s. So yes, we had, but she says it's 27 degrees. Supposed to be 29 tomorrow. Woohoo! What are we today?
Right. I think we are supposed to hit 27 as well, but we're supposed to get like ice and then snow starting at 12:15. So we're gonna try to keep the broadcast on time because I have to drive an hour and a half south. And it's supposed to get yucky down at my house before it gets yucky here.
It's 25 here, and
4 degrees in Wyoming. She's got us beat.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
My weather app is a Grumpy Cat weather app because it makes me smile and makes me laugh. It says "Ghost choke on a snowflake" today.
Nice. All right.
Anyway.
Good morning, Stacy. And hi, Sarah. So we probably should actually get to
business,
the purpose of our broadcast.
You didn't tune in just to hear us BS our whole way through an hour.
Right. I don't know. Maybe they did. No.
Is that what we usually do?
We probably should remind them when to find us every month.
Okay.
Do you want to catch that? Or
sure.
Okay.
To remind you, just in case you don't know where you are today, we are the second Monday of every month at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We broadcast from sunny, lovely Altoona, Iowa. I say that sarcastically because it hasn't been sunny in days.
And it's like covered in snow.
Yes. So, good morning. And good morning, Amy. So, 11 a.m. our time. Let us know where you are your time. In the United States, we understand it's like noon on the East Coast. So, it's 10 a.m. Mountain and 9 a.m.
I always call it California time.
Western over there.
Yeah, let us know what time it is in your time zone from around the world, and then we'll have a rough idea where everyone's at. I do know that New Zealand got out of bed early.
And thank you. Bless you for that.
Right.
You're a trooper.
Oh, they've got 41 degrees in Ohio. No fair.
Well, usually our weather comes your way, so I apologize. It's probably going to be in the 20s.
Right. It's not going to be fun.
And Amy's glad to see you're recovering.
Thank you so much. So for today's broadcast, we wanted to talk to you about education. I remember as a nail professional out of school, going to a trade show seemed insane. Like,
daunting.
How am I going to have enough money to do this? How am I going to get there? What am I going to do when I get there?
How do I decide which classes? And you're looking at that list that's 4 pages long.
How do I decide which event to go to? There are so many. And what if I go to this event and I should have gone to that event and I can only afford one event? And how do you narrow it to, it's so much. And my treat to myself after quite a lot of years in the industry was to go to the Orlando show. And one of the goals of going to the Orlando show was to go to the Beauty Tech Barbecue, which was back then the big thing because that was the social media then, is Beauty Tech and Nail Geek. And so I wanted to do an event in England and an event in the US, and literally the one in England is called The Event, and the one in the US was the Beauty Tech Barbecue at Orlando. And I literally saved for years and years. And once I got there and experienced it, I realized the intrinsic value in the experience, the education, finding my way there, the respect from my clients, and started to put more effort into making traveling to education a possibility. What was the first big thing that you went to?
I went to a number of smaller shows here in the Midwest, but for a few years I was teaching at a cosmetology school, so I went as one of the, not a host, what am I?
Chaperone.
Chaperone, yes. I went as a chaperone to the Midwest show in Chicago, and that was mind-boggling.
Yes.
All the stuff that was there.
Yes. I remember walking onto the show floor and just being like, I am never going to find anything. And this was back before the shows started to actually realize, hey, if we put the nail stuff together, the nail people will come. If we scatter the nail stuff everywhere like we threw dice and they have to wander through all the stuff, the nail people will stop coming because it's frustrating. And so,
well, like the American Beauty Show would have they used to have an app. I haven't gone in a couple of years. They used to have an app with a map. Like, okay, it's like you were planning your strategy. I could go here, then I don't backtrack much if I come here.
Yes.
Rather than being able to have it all compartmentalized.
Yes. And I remember one year printing out the map and taking a highlighter and just highlighting all the different places where there were nail booths. And it literally looked like you just shook a pepper sprinkle onto a piece of paper and decided, oh, well, that's where the nail booths will go.
Sure.
It was insanely random. And there were booths I ended up never finding because it was too difficult to get to them.
Amy says it was like a bad treasure hunt.
Yes. Yes, that's it exactly.
And X did not mark the spot.
No, and you could not always get the bloody treasure. It was too hard.
And you didn't always have time to try and find them all.
Right. So now we do have the benefit, at least of most shows, somewhat organizing the show floor so that a lot of the nail stuff is together, as well as starting to realize, hey, if we put the nail classes in the same area, people can make it to more than one class, like light bulb. And to start off with, one of the things that we have to do for a large scale education, I know that we're already starting to plan for the Foot Forward Summit in Atlanta. Like, I feel like that is going to be a BFF tradition. We just have to be there together. We need to see the pandas, and we need to hang out with Kim and Nicole and the crew.
Yes, the Nail Society girls.
Yes, and Rosanna and Michelle.
Yes.
And we just have to do Atlanta every year. It's a must.
I want to do the Coca-Cola Museum this time.
Yes, it's awesome. You definitely have to hit that. Maybe instead of running around like crazy people getting all of our services done in Atlanta, we'll hit the Coca-Cola Museum and we can trade services before we go.
Deal. Deal.
And then we can take the girls to fun places with us instead of making them work.
Yes. Yes.
So the first trick is budget. How on earth do you afford to go to a class or a trade show or a networking event that involves travel? And it's so frustrating when everyone's like, well, you could if you want to. Yes, I understand that.
Yes.
In theory, yes, that's very true. And as a nail professional, a lot of you, and I want to see some little thumbs up, you may as well just tell us the truth. A lot of you do not charge what you're worth. So you're not charging enough for services to truly cover all of your expenses and make a living wage. You may be getting by, you may be kind of making it, but you're not making a living wage at the end of the day. Just ask your accountant that does your taxes, Or if you do them, just look at how much you don't make on your taxes. And while we celebrate, woohoo, I don't have to pay any in. The reason you don't have to pay any in is because you didn't make anything. So it's kind of not really as exciting as you think. And so one of the things is we don't have the money. And so when someone says, well, if you would just save, that sounds awesome in theory. But when you're choosing between groceries, prescriptions, and fuel, setting aside huge chunks of money so that you can go to a class is not always a realistic option. The trick to that is, instead of trying to figure out how to set aside huge chunks of money, is to set aside a little bit at a time and to put it somewhere not in your keeping. I find if I'm saving it, if it's in my savings account, as soon as something goes wrong, the truck needs repairs or whatever, like, right? It's the first thing that comes to mind. As soon as something goes wrong, I wipe out my savings account to fix it. And so then I'm back at square one for whatever it was I was saving for. And the next thing I know, I can't afford to go to the event. And so by eking out a little bit at a time, and putting it in someone else's keeping, you don't touch it. You're not allowed to get into it. One example would be to have a lockbox that can be locked and just have a slit in the top of it. And maybe today you put 50 cents in. Maybe tomorrow you put in $1. Every time you get back change, I don't like change rattling around in my pocket, and it makes my wallet heavy, and it doesn't always fit right in my wallet. So at the end of the day, all of your change, if you're married, all of your spouse's change, and the change just keeps going in the lockbox, and you don't have the combination to the lock. Your BFF has the combination, or your spouse has the combination, or one of your kids, if they can be trusted. A trusted person other than yourself has a combination to the lock. And by putting that little bit in, it adds up. You know, think about, there's 365 days in a year. So if you only could manage $1, that's $365. The other thing when it comes to saving money is give it purpose and let your clients know what you're saving for. How many fundraisers do you see and they've got the little thermometer and they color in the little splotches as it goes up? Figure out what specific event you want to do, what your lodging is going to be, your airfare or your fuel if you're driving, and all of that, and make a budget. Don't forget to include food and fuel. That's really important. Sometimes I budget and then I find, oops, I forgot the rental car and my food all week. So it's, oops, right, it's kind of important. So you want to make sure that you figure out everything you can imagine into the budget and give yourself a cushion of like $20-30 in case you forgot something. And create one of those little fundraiser things and let your clients know that all of your tips until it hits the little capped off thing are going towards that trip. Maybe you have a big lockbox at the salon and they put the money in themselves so that they know that's exactly where it's going.
It can surprise you that way too.
They really can. Like, I know some nail professionals that do that, and when they finally take the lockbox in because it's full to cash it out or what have you, they find $20 bills in there, you know? And so when your clients are just feeling extra generous that day, or if you've done something that they realize, hey, she just worked me in for some extra artwork and I know she's not going to charge me for it. And so then they could tip you extra that day and put it in your education fund. Do you have different ideas for saving?
I just have a small little old coin purse that I keep in a drawer, in a dresser drawer, that when I get, you know, $20, $30, $50, whatever, just keep shoving it in there and try and forget that it's there. So
I am not that disciplined.
I don't do too bad.
Nice.
But yes.
Yeah. So kind of figure out a method for saving that works for you. Because when it does come down to choosing between things that are necessities, you will spend that money. However, if it's just left over at the end of the day, it's $1, it's 35 cents, it does eventually add up. And if you know that it's going to be a bigger struggle versus a smaller struggle, choose an event next year. There's nothing saying that you have to be able to afford it this year. You can save up for next year. I literally saved for 5 years to go to my first Orlando show. So it doesn't have to be immediate. You can literally pick a future event. Most of the trade shows, are going to happen every year. The Foot Forward Summit is scheduled to happen every year. A lot of the networking events are happening every year. So you can get a rough idea of your expenses.
Even if you had to go to every other year and could make it to each year.
Yes.
There was a comment here from Karen, who's in New Zealand, says tipping is not really a thing. Although sometimes people tip in restaurants, no one gets tips for nails in this country. So how would you suggest for them?
That's a really good point. So if tipping is not something that is
thing,
cultural,
yes,
where you live, then you could do a fundraiser. You could have a select set of nail designs. If you do one of these nail designs, it will be an additional $5, $10, pounds, whatever. I forget in New Zealand what they're called.
So just dollars, that's just New Zealand dollars, like Australia dollars.
I think you're right. And so you can charge, $5, $10 or whatever for that design, and then that goes into the travel fund. So you're basically earning it, and it's something you've earned in their estimation versus being a tip. And it's really kind of just taking a percentage of what you made for the day, especially if you're not already charging for design work. That could be one way that you start charging for design work, is introduce it as, I know that nail designs have been a gift for you in the past from me, and I appreciate your loyalty and your patronage. However, going forward, nail designs are going to be an additional $5 to $10, and it is going to go straight into an education fund.
New Zealand is dollars.
Ah, perfect. So that kind of gives you an idea on savings. Does anyone else have some suggestions for how to save? I know that I drove through and got a Starbucks this morning, and just her fruity drink is $5.
$5.
Right? And so if that's something you're doing every day, maybe skip a day and put the $5, because that would be 1 days. Put the $5 in your education fund.
Karen just suggested the same thing I was about to say. We all like, at least if you're like me, I love buying nail art supplies. But eventually it gets to the point where I'm not using them all. Yes. Okay, I haven't touched this in 6 to 12 months. Why don't I try and sell it? She says sell things to make extra money.
Yes.
So, in the United States, we've got eBay, or we've got Craigslist. I don't know how much I would trust Craigslist, but like Facebook Marketplace, so you can get regionalized, find somebody in your area that's looking for it or whatever. Get rid of the stuff that you aren't using and make that your trip fund, your education fund.
Yes. And when it comes to nails, I know Facebook has a few groups that are actually pro only. So if you needed to get rid of something that is not something you want the DIY, or that you want to be responsible for selling the DIY, then you could definitely go on one of those professionals. But like your glitters and stuff like that, they have access to that all over the place. So that definitely could be a free-for-all. Another thing would be like farmer markets. You could go in and be like, here's some extra polishes, here's some glitter, I'll polish your little girl's nails and do the glitter, it's $20, and then you can take it with you. So that's another idea for that. Oh, she sells clothes. Nice. And furniture. Woo. Good job. And Phyllis says stop buying nail stuff.
What?
It's so cute that she thinks we can nail
right.
that.
That's
like,
that is so sweet. Thank you for this suggestion, but I don't know if I can do that.
That's adorable. As soon as I see the emails come through that Wildflowers and Profiles Backstage have new sparkly things,
you're like, shoot.
Right, which one of these am I going to be? I do at least narrow it down and not buy every single thing.
Yes, I've gotten better.
Yes, I do. And I actually just on the nail cruise bought a new stamping plate from Profiles, and it's got constellations on it.
You were showing me that last.
I am in love with this stamping plate. So, okay, now we're getting...
Melissa says she donates extra stuff to beauty schools. I've also done that too.
Yes.
The schools around here that I know use like C&D products, excess C&D products, I will donate to the school, and I have permission to do that.
Yes. And I will, a lot of the times, if I have leftover things from an event like the cruise or something like that, I will give them away on the blog, or I will drop them off at a school, or talk to other nail professionals that use those products. So that's definitely another avenue.
Morgan says, I need to offload some of my obscene fabric stash to put in an education fund.
Oh,
good
nice.
idea.
That's
One of
a
my
really good
clients
idea.
says she squirrels away fabric too because she likes to quilt.
Yes. So definitely hit up like some quilt Facebook pages
There
to
you
see
go.
about selling that. The next part, now that you have figured out how to save the money to travel, how can you travel smart?
You're the travel expert. I'll let you take this. You helped me get my ticket to Atlanta, so I'm like, darling, it's all you.
Right. So one of the things with travel is share the travel. That's actually how we cemented our friendship. We met through networking at a class, and then we traveled together. It was a 2.5 hour drive?
Yeah, about 2-hour drive from here.
Yes. So it was a little ways away. We wanted to get a hotel because it was 3 days, right?
Yes.
3-day class. And we split a room, we split the fuel, and that cuts your cost in half. If it's something that you can drive to, splitting fuel cuts your cost in half. Splitting the hotel cuts your cost in half.
Oh, we even did Milwaukee once. That was a 7-hour drive. We
did
split
that as
one
well.
too.
And so just splitting your room cuts your cost in half. And you can meet someone on Facebook. You probably chat with other nail professionals. I know that a lot of times on the nail cruise, they'll pair you up with random other people, and I've gotten to meet really cool people that way. Sometimes when we teach for the manufacturer that we work for, they'll pair us up with random roommates to work at a trade show, and so you get to kind of know another person.
I know some people said to me, that's weird. They're going to put you with a complete stranger. Well, for one, it's not a complete stranger because you have a commonality already. You already have a love of nails, whether it's the manufacturer, whether it's going to a trade show or whatever. So you already have common ground, and there's not really strangers. We're all a sisterhood or sister and brotherhood.
Right? Exactly. And one of the best tips I can give you as a roommate is pack layers, so that if you know you are always freezing everywhere you go, don't pack lingerie. Pack really warm, fuzzy jammies.
And cover up.
Yes, no naked roommates. That's not cool.
Yeah, that might be a couple of good things to suggest too, is how to be a roommate.
Yes.
You know,
if you snore, you should always have earplugs handy for your roommates. I did used to have a serious snoring issue. I had one roommate that actually took her bedding and went in the bathtub so that she could get it. I felt horrible. And so I started carrying earplugs after that for my roommates. So we definitely could do a blog maybe on how to be a good roommate.
Yeah, we'll do it that way rather than taking up so much airtime today, because I have some suggestions for that.
Perfect. For travel, when it comes to if you have to fly, look into flight deals. Don't be afraid to use places like Travelocity and Expedia to see who's offering the best deal. Then once you see who's offering the best deal, go direct to the airline's website and see if it's the same price, if they have any promotions going on. Also, the earlier you book your travel, the cheaper it will be. So if, like, we're going to Atlanta, if we book our flights for Atlanta in February, it's going to be much cheaper than if we wait until March or
June.
April, because every month flights tend to increase by $20 to $50 a ticket. So the earlier you can book your travel, the less it will cost you. And maybe you save up in increments. Maybe your little thermometer has a spot that says this is where the flight will be paid for, this is where the hotel will be paid for. So your clients kind of have a gauge for, ooh, I really need to help her out. She's kind of getting close to that deadline.
I love how clients help almost take ownership of your education. My nail tech does this. My nail tech went and did this. And if they know they're helping you, that gives them a sense of sharing an accomplishment. And I know sometimes it's hard when people want to offer us things, say maybe somebody wants to give you an extra $100. And you're like, no, that's really not necessary. One of the things I've tried to teach my family and remind myself is sometimes you need to let somebody be nice to you for them.
Yes.
You feel like, oh, I don't want to take advantage of you. No, think about how nice it's been when you've done a random act of kindness sometimes. Afterwards, you're like, yes.
Right.
So allow somebody else that feeling to be nice to you, even if it's in a roundabout way still helping the client out themselves, because they're going to benefit from what you learn.
Yes, exactly. And that was something my grandma always said. She always wanted to give me $20 for gas when I was going to a class or something. I'd be like, no, grandma. And she would be like, it's selfish of you to deny me the opportunity to give you a gift.
Exactly.
And then I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Okay, grandma.
So, right? So it really is not always just about you. It's about them investing in you as someone that will bring a return on that investment on their nails.
It's reciprocate, about them.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have questions about saving on travel? Also, how do you, oh gosh, I just lost my...
Well, I'll comment on what I'm reading here when you bring it back here. Morgan has a couple of suggestions. She says for plane travel, 52 days out is the cheapest rate.
Awesome.
And buy on a Tuesday. Still true, it's the lowest fare price. Whoever you buy through, if on a web call or vice versa, you can sometimes get a better rate.
Nice. Tuesday, booking on Tuesdays.
Booking on Tuesdays and 52 days out. And Dana Lynn says Hopper is a great app.
Nice.
I'm assuming that's something that'll compare all your rates for you.
That would be my guess as well.
Did it come back yet?
Awesome. I was actually going to ask, did they have ideas and suggestions?
There you go.
So that worked out perfectly.
Yep.
Yes, it is really hard to accept, and it's something we need to learn to do as nail professionals, like even just as people. One of my most difficult things is compliments. When someone wants to be like, oh, that's a lovely shirt today. I'm like, no, I've had this for a year.
It was only a Target
special. I got this at Goodwill.
Yes.
Yeah. You need to say thank you and shut up. And so the same thing applies to those gifts that they want to give you towards education. Say thank you and shut up. It's that simple.
Like compliments on nail art.
Mm-hmm.
People or clients or other nail professionals are like, oh, that's so cool. I'm like, yeah, but it was so easy. And Holly's like, it was easy for you.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, just say thank you.
Yes. Say thank you.
These are the steps.
Shut up.
These are the steps that I did, but it was, you can do this. Maybe that's why I say it's so easy, because I want people to know you can do this too. It really wasn't that difficult. Mm-hmm. Here are the steps.
Right.
Yeah.
You could just do that in a tutorial.
This is not supposed to be an education moment for me.
My bad. So, shameless plug. There will be a new nail tutorial on the Fingernail Fixer YouTube tomorrow, because I have new tutorials every Tuesday.
Oh, that's where you were going.
Tuesday.
Okay.
I wasn't, but it popped in my head.
Good segue.
I'm like, oh wait, I have a tutorial. So, how do you make the most of an event? Because you're uber organized. So what do you do before you go to an event to make sure that you get the most out of?
I study. I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at things even outside of the event. Like, what are the nearest restaurants? Am I going to have to walk someplace? Am I going to have to Uber somewhere? Uber's being the option now. But I'm like, okay, if I do, the ABC class at 10 o'clock, that gets over at noon, and the XYZ class starts at this time. Okay, I can manage those two, but in between I've got 45 minutes. I can go hit this booth because it's closest to these two classes. I'm just studying and giving up a game plan, because I'm always like, work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
And I make myself a list. I was going to do this at this time. It's also a way to save money at the shows or an event, is go in with a shopping list in mind.
Yes.
It's very much like, don't go to the grocery store hungry. Don't go to the event and be like, ooh, everything's sparkling. I want it all.
Right.
Go in with, okay, I'm looking for this type of glitter. I'm looking for this type of nail art. I'm looking for this type of tool. Like when we went to Atlanta, I was like, I need a toenail rasp. this is my goal for this time, and whatever else I might see that might be useful, okay, but give yourself a plan, give yourself a to-do list. Yeah, I'm always doing that studying of and getting a lay of the land. I don't like to go in and not knowing where we're going. Like even a couple years ago when we went to New Orleans and we were going to be staying on the edge of the French Quarter, I studied the map of the French Quarter so I would have an idea of where we were going and where we're at. And same thing for a show floor. Get an idea of where you're at. And I was like, okay, well there's, the ABC booth. So that means the XYZ booth is over there. So I can just, I study it. I'm sure that shocks you.
I am totally shocked. So NailOn mentioned one of my pet peeves. Bring business cards. Do not go to any sort of nail event without business cards. It doesn't matter that you're not teaching the class. It doesn't matter that you're there to get hours. Always, always, always bring business cards. One of our things is networking, and we're going to touch on that next. But bring your business cards. Another tip is...
Eileen says lunch.
Yes.
I
bring lunch and snacks.
I stock up on the granola bars and have bottles of water. And if I'm going to go to a show, another thing for purchasing stuff, take a bag on wheels. Do not try and carry your big backpack over your shoulder because it's going to kill you. Take something on wheels, but not too bulky so that you're going to be tripping other people. Look for a small little carry-on you can shove all that stuff into. It's going to save your back, your shoulder. Just trust me on that one.
Yep. And all the shows say no bags on wheels, no bags on wheels, no bags on wheels. And yet those of us that have been to a show, what happens every single time? You get mowed over by people's bags on wheels. So if you just be considerate about your bag on wheels, it's really, really helpful.
I like the ones that have the I don't know how they describe them. The wheels that'll turn in any direction.
Spinners.
The spinners. So you can hold it straight upright and you're not dragging it behind you.
Yes.
So that's being more conscientious about your space.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And it does make it easier to cart that bottle of water. All of them say, no outside food and drinks, etc., etc.
Granola bars.
Right?
Yeah.
Nuts, jerky, dehydrated fruit, granola bars, cereal, dried cereal. Like, there are all kinds of things you can put in little snack-sized Ziploc bags or little containers if you're a container girl that you can just toss as you eat them, and that makes room in your bag.
Yes.
It saves you a lot of money to have those snacks because you do get hungry, you get tired because you're walking around a lot more than you're used to, especially if it's at a trade show. At networking events, those generally are more of sitting through classes all day, and you're used to having something to do when you're sitting. And so if it's a little bit of some lecture and demo that you're not doing hands-on, take a pen and paper. Taking notes will help you retain it. Taking notes will help you stay focused. And taking notes also shows respect to your instructor.
Guess who relies on who for the note-taking?
If I'm taking pictures, she has to take notes.
I always have a binder. I have I have spiral-bound binders from every nails class I've ever gone to for 18 years, and like every big trade show and classes, they're all in binders because they're great for resources and it helps cement it in my brain, just helps put it there.
And it's really fun to pull out your notebooks because I am like a fiend about notes. Now with social media, I tend to be more focused on that aspect, but I love to take notes because I do not retain things well. And so taking notes helps me retain it. It also helps me realize if I understand it or not. Because if I write it down and I'm like, what? I know I need to ask a question. Also, it's really fun to look back at your notes from 10, 15, 20 years ago. And things have changed.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Like, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I've taken a class since then. Because that's so wow.
And as far as classes go, something I experienced early in my career was maybe, and this isn't to put down any manufacturer in any way, shape, or form, concentrate maybe on one manufacturer for a certain time frame, because I found myself when I was going to every manufacturer I could, notes or not, I'd get confused when I'd get back in the salon. Now, wait, which one said I couldn't use lanolin lotion, and which one said I should be doing this. So I found if I stuck with one manufacturer for a little while and then went to the next manufacturer for a little while, I helped cement their systems in my brain better.
That totally
Rather than trying to overload it with
a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Yes, that totally makes sense. Let's look back. Oh, Morgan says, foot forward attendees who are flying, don't rent a car. You're likely not going to drive anywhere alone. Take the MARTA, which is the train. It's $12 for 1 week pass. You can get to from the airport to the hotel and back, plus to a lot of the attractions. So that's a really good point. We did hop on the MARTA for something. We went to meet Chad to pick us up.
The airport to a train station to get us closer to Kim's house.
Yes. And so it was really easy to do once it accepted our dollar. So
yes.
Make sure you have some crisp cash for the MARTA
Yes.
machine. It does not like wrinkly money. And that will save you a huge amount of money. If you're someone that feels like you must rent a car, then put it out there on the Foot Forward Facebook page or the Foot Forward event and say, hey, who's renting a car? Does anyone want to go in together? Because if there are 4 of you going in together on a rental car, that will save a lot of money. If you know you're already really good friends with people, get a hotel room with 2 queen beds. 2 of you can sleep in a queen bed just fine. You can even have a pillow divider if you need it.
If you are thinking about renting a car in Atlanta, take your time for traffic.
Yes.
And use the Waze Salon application. Waze, WAZE, helps you avoid traffic. But if you're going to drive yourself, plan on time for traffic.
Yes, give yourself an extra 45 minutes to an hour to get anywhere, and trust us, the train would be a really good idea.
And I've got people here commenting about how they're like me when it comes to planning. Diane Diaz and Morgan Deckler are both like, yeah, we wired the same way, planning organization. See, I'm not the only OCD goofball out there.
Excellent. Amy says, I buy so many notebooks. That's my money for the next show.
That's right.
Nice.
Amy, I've probably got 6 spiral bound notebooks on the shelf that I haven't even touched yet.
Annette would like to know, has anyone been to the Nail Tech event of the Smokies in Gatlinburg? And any tips would be helpful. For the event in Gatlinburg, you're going to do some walking to save paying parking and generally to save time, because the pedestrians stop traffic. Like the little pedestrian light goes red and they keep on walking, blocking the traffic because they know you can't go. So there's a lot of hotels pretty close to the event. The sooner you book your hotel for that, the more likely you are to get one of the hotels that's close to the event, and then you can walk. Take a pair of shoes to walk in, and then like she mentioned, have your bag that you can put the shoes in to change into your show shoes that are a little nicer.
I have survived shows by having 2 pairs of shoes.
Yes. Or if you just have a nice pair of tennis shoes that looks pretty and you don't mind wearing them to the show all day, go that way. Also the I just lost it again.
Gatlinburg?
Yes. Helpful, Gatlinburg. The classes in Gatlinburg are down a separate hallway than what the show floor is. So you want to make a plan for what classes you want to attend and what time you want to do your shopping, and kind of divide that. They're not really far away, but if you're someone that struggles with walking, or if you feel like you're going to do a lot of purchasing, then definitely kind of make a game plan for what things you want to pick up on the show floor and what things you want to haul around when you're doing the classes.
Yes.
Those are the main things that I can think of for the Smokies.
How many times have you been to that one?
Oh gosh, I think I went to that one 4 or 5 times.
5 is what I was thinking.
Yeah, quite a few times. And there's a Facebook page for that event, so definitely post on the Facebook page and ask people that have also been for what other tips and tricks they have for that event. What did I miss? I saw it over here bouncing up. Okay.
Comments about Airbnbs.
Oh yeah, do you want to chat about that a second?
Let's see, there was... So an Airbnb isn't amazing, but don't wait to book it. The cheap ones go fast for the Gatlinburg show.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Amy said if you're going to travel a lot, stick with the same brands to earn points, which is a great point. So first of all, see if where you're flying out of is a hub. If your airport is a hub for an airline, that airline is going to have better deals out of your airport than everyone else because it's their hub. HUB, hub. Des Moines is a hub for no one, so our flights are all expensive. But Minneapolis is a hub for Delta. Atlanta is a hub for American.
Delta was American. Atlanta. It's a hub for somebody.
Yes, Atlanta's a hub for someone. DFW is a hub for American. Denver is a hub for United. And so that brand is generally going to have better deals on the flight. And let's say you're going to go to one specific event every year. If you use that same airline and save those points up, eventually you could have a free flight. That's how BFF Mel got to Atlanta last year, is from points from my flights. Same thing with hotels. You can find an inexpensive yet decent chain of hotels, and if you stay within that hotel family of brands, you collect points and can eventually earn free hotels. So thank you, Amy, for that one. That's a really good one. What else did I miss? Okay, Diane. Yes, networking we're about to cover. Yes. Does anyone else have anything on travel tips that they want to throw in?
That's what I thought. Atlanta is a Delta hub too. That's what I thought I remember seeing when we were there.
Sorry, I got that mixed up.
It's okay. I got you, baby.
Yay. Here's a good point from Morgan. A lot of the trade shows have a preferred hotel or a block of rooms that are more cost friendly for your event. So definitely look on the shows, or even the networking event. Look on their website, look on their Facebook page, ask, is there a preferred hotel, etc. If you want something that is all together, then look at something like Nail Camp. There's going to be a Nail Camp on the East Coast and the West Coast. Nail Camp is all included. It includes your food, it includes your lodging, it includes your education. So you pay that one flat fee for everything. Another one that's pretty much all inclusive is the Nail Cruise. There's just a separate fee for education. But when you're on a cruise, a good chunk of your food and your lodging is definitely included.
You want the details on the Nail Cruise next year?
Oh, I don't know. Do you guys want breaking news on next year's Nail Cruise?
We just got this info yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we can wait, and I can wait till the end.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any smiley faces or any comments. Okay. So we'll make them wait till the end.
Okay. Well, since it came up, thought I'd bring it up. Oh, there's a yes. There's 2 yeses. What about thumbs up? Get any thumbs up for it?
Let's have some thumbs up. Oh, we got some love.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
So, Teresa, as far as what you missed today, we're talking about budgeting and planning for education. So you'll definitely want to hop on YouTube later this week to catch the beginning of the broadcast, or you can rewatch it here on the Nails Magazine channel. Yes. So I'll let you do the honors for the Nail Cruise. Drum roll.
I don't want to do that. I'll shake the camera. All right. Nails Cruise for 2020. That sounds so strange. Okay. Starts January 19th. The 2 of confirmed stops they have so far is Coco Cay and St. Thomas.
I haven't been to either one of those.
I wasn't even aware there was a Coco Cay. That almost sounds like a breakfast cereal.
It kind of does.
Coco Cay Puffs. Should be chocolate.
Digress.
Yes.
Right.
Anyway, so there's a $299 seminar fee, and if you're interested, you're going to call Tanya, and Tanya is with
Ship to Shore. She's the travel agent that handles everything. She's literally your go-to person when it comes to the Nail Cruise, and she is amazing. Most of you know that Melissa, I don't know if it's going to hit Cuba or not. There'll be more details on the cruise Facebook page later. But Tanya is the travel agent that you'll contact to book your cruise. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get the travel insurance. It's only like $75-$80 extra. But one example would be, most of you know I was in a car accident.
So one example would be if you rolled your truck.
Right. That happened Monday night before I was supposed to fly out for the cruise on Friday. So if my injuries had been such that I could not make the cruise, I would have been able to get all of my money back from the cruise because I had that trip insurance. And as far as how amazing Tanya is, she's our travel agent. And so I was texting her, telling her, okay, I do need to go, but I need a wheelchair. I need a wheelchair to get on and off the ship. I'm going to need a wheelchair part-time on the ship. And like totally just threw last minute things at her. And then much to my and my roommate's horror, our flight was canceled. So then I'm frantically messaging her, our flight was canceled. We can't get there. This is what's going on. And she contacted Carnival and we literally got into the terminal and they locked the doors. We watched them lock the terminal doors. No one else was getting on the cruise. And so that was like stressful and horrifying.
What ship were you on this year?
This year we did the Carnival Vista.
Okay.
And next year we're going with Royal Caribbean, and the contracts are still being negotiated, so I can't guarantee you which ship it's going to be just yet. But as soon as all the contract is finalized, they'll be launching that information, and we'll definitely post it on the NailOn Facebook page for you guys as well.
So Tanya's phone number I put in there as a comment. It's under Melissa Finch. Is 586-447-0876.
Perfect.
So, total cost of the cruise?
The cruise, depending on your room, like I'm kind of spoiled now, and I've stayed in a balcony room, and I find that I need to prop my door open at night and listen to the ocean while I sleep on the cruise. It's just a necessity. And so the balcony rooms end up being $1,200 to $1,400,
Yeah.
but you can easily stay under $1,000 if you don't feel the need to be a princess about your room.
Should I get you a tiara?
No.
No. No, you're a queen. You need a crown.
Right. And it is going out of Fort Lauderdale, so good news for you, those of you that have an easy, inexpensive flight option to Fort Lauderdale. It's going out of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, so importance of networking. We're getting closer on time here.
We're at that.
Okay.
So networking is probably the most important thing about going to an event. While the education will help you, the education will benefit you when it comes to the nails, the networking gets you far more. The networking is something that can benefit you beyond when the education is no longer relevant.
That's an excellent point.
A lot of the time people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is so often very, very true. Because if I know, okay, let's use from Gelish Harmony, the Polygel. So let's use...
I can read your mind sometimes, but not always.
Let's use Polygel as an example. And so let's say I'm going in and someone is asking me Polygel questions, and I'm just like, pretty. And
look, something shiny.
Right? So in networking, I've met Sandy Combs, and Sandy Burgess. She is a wonderful educator. She's a super thoughtful person, and I know that I can put the person that's asking me a Polygel question in touch with Sandy, and she can help them. As a nail professional, some avenues that you have, if you network with other nail professionals, or potential future roommates, potential future split the cost of a rental car or drive somewhere. It's also potential someone else to ask questions. She's in a salon with only one other true nail person. I'm in a salon where I'm the only nail person. And so having other nail professionals to network with outside of the salon is hugely beneficial. I can message them and say, okay, this showed up on one of my clients today. Have you guys ever had this going on? Or you would not believe what my client did today. And you have someone that can empathize, because I don't know about you guys, but when you go home and you're like talking about this with your husband, he's like, well, you should quit. That's just insane. Well, that's not really a solution. I just needed to vent. It's not that bad. And
thank you for your input.
Right.
Not the avenue I was going
writing
for.
in to save the day. Or
Yes.
you get this.
Yeah.
Right. And so having other nail friends to talk to is really helpful. And sometimes if you live in different areas, maybe you can afford to go to this class and she can afford to go to that class, and you can exchange information.
We've done that also.
Yes, we've divide and conquer. Sometimes you can't both afford to go to both classes, and so you divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
And so networking is really key. It's why you really, really, really need to never leave without your business cards.
Hush. I get yelled at all the time
They
for
would
that
have
one.
never known if you
No,
hadn't
they
said
know.
anything.
They know us well enough that when you're trying to be all passive
Actually, it's some
aggressive,
of them.
passive aggressive on telling me to get my stuff together. I'm organized in other ways. That's just
Right.
I think that's part of my mindset is I'm thinking about all I'm going to take in. I don't think about putting it out there too. And I think that's where it comes from.
Here's a really great from Amy. She says, every show I've been to, just by saying hello, has connected me with someone significant in my career. It's amazing the connections you never thought would be possible. The right people come into your life at the right time. And that is extremely true.
Yes.
I seem to have met people throughout my career when I really needed them in my life. And it's put my career on the path it went. All by having met people at that time. And if you're not willing to put yourself out there and say hello, to walk up and talk to someone, very few people have such an ego in the nail industry that you can't walk up and say hi regardless of who it is.
True.
And something that makes me like so sad is when someone will message me on social media and be like, I saw you but you were busy and I didn't want to interrupt you. I can talk and hug at the same time. Just saying.
My husband says you can't.
Super talented.
That
like
multitasking is not a thing. I beg to differ.
right? Like, we are women. We can totally multitask.
Just because you can't doesn't mean I can.
Yes.
And I wanted to point out that meeting the right people at the right time. Last year in April when we were at our manufacturers event, I got to meet. We were in LA and I got to meet Beth Livesay. Did I spell it? Livesay. Live safe. Anyway, Beth, who's the works for Nails Magazine, and I walk up to Holly, and she's standing there talking to a young lady. And I didn't want to interrupt, so I just kind of snuck into the conversation. And she turns and looks at me, and she goes, "You're BFF Mel." I'm like, "Yeah, hi, nice to meet you." She's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to meet you and everything." Well, we had only had 2 NailOn broadcasts at the time. Our first 2 broadcasts were only like 30 minutes. I was really nervous about the first ones we done because this was her idea. And just talking to Beth, we just love what you guys are doing. It gave me this huge boost of confidence. I was like, this woman is the executive editor for Nails Magazine, and she loves what we're doing. Oh my goodness, maybe we're on the right path.
Right.
But that was like the right person to meet at the right time.
And standing there with Beth was Sarah from Chalkboard Nails.
Yes.
And Sarah starts fangirling as I'm fangirling because I'm like, oh my gosh, Chalkboard Nails, your nails are so cute. And so you never know where networking is going to take you or who already knows you, because social media is hugely prevalent. How do you choose which event to go to? Look at your budget. Look at the time you can afford to be away from the salon, because not only do you have the expense of the travel and the event, you have the expense of no income when you're not working. So factor that in. Look at, perhaps, is there something in your area?
I was going to say geographically, look and see where you're at.
Is it more, and look at flights. Is it more expensive to fly down the East Coast than it is to the West Coast? Or is it actually cheaper to fly down or up the East Coast than to the West Coast? You would be surprised sometimes that flips and flops around. So kind of look at the travel both ways. Estimate the income that you're going to lose and count that as an expense. So perhaps if an event is 5 days long versus 2 days long, can you swing the 5 days, or is the 2 days going to be more feasible for you? Look at the education that's being offered. If the Foot Forward Summit is perfect in location and you like everything about the idea of going to Atlanta, but you don't do feet, that's probably not the event for you.
Oh,
and
so
so
you should do
kind
feet.
of look at, right, your income. And so look at what's going to be offered at that event. Is that the right event for you as far as what they're offering? Do you use the products that are going to be represented? Have you already taken the classes that are going to be offered? Have they been updated since the last time you attended them? Is it an educator that you love to go see regardless of what they're teaching? Is there someone that you want to meet in person? The networking events are a really great opportunity to actually get some personal time with educators. The nail crews, the Smokies, the nail camps. There's one in Rhode Island. There's one on Long Island. The show in Texas is small enough. It's still a lot like a networking event. And so you actually get more time with the educators than a large trade show. So kind of think about what are your needs? What are your travel needs? What is the length of it? What is going to be your trade out as far as lost wages and all of that type of expense? Do you have some other suggestions for how to narrow down the event that you guys would like to share? Do you have any you want to share while they're typing?
I was thinking partially maybe the time of the year can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Like right now in the Midwest, January, February, March have a tendency to be very slow months for us. Those of us that maybe have a lot of pedicures, not as many people do pedicures. You might get them if they're getting ready to go on a cruise, go on your trip.
She did my toes for the cruise.
Yes, saying on a cruise. But also our snowbirds that leave for the winter. So maybe if you're in Florida, summer might actually be a slower time for you because your snowbirds, Florida, right, Texas, Southern California, they've all left. So look at your busy time of the year. I'm going to be giving up less income in February than I would be if I tried to take, a whole week off or time off in June or July for our regionally, our busy times.
That's a really good point. Amy says, can you two put together a Midwest nail event, please? No. There is a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes to a networking event. You have to chase down things. You have to be really organized. You have to stay on top of things. And it's not an income. It is something you do out of the kindness of your heart. And I love the industry. I'm happy to do this broadcast once a month. There are a lot of YouTube videos that I do on my own time. The time commitment that takes running an event is almost a job unto itself. And we do not have that kind of time commitment available to us. We would be happy to support an event in the Midwest. If someone like Ashley from Nailscape wanted to put together an event, I know that we've got some really cool people over in Omaha if they wanted to do
Jenny
an event.
Sicavati, who works for Artistic, had been throwing around an idea of trying to do something. And Sheila, that was on the cruise with you, that's in South Dakota.
Yep.
She was talking about doing something like that. So we would absolutely support it. Yes. But as for organizing it, not at this time. But thank you for the vote of confidence think that we could pull that off.
Yes, we do appreciate that. And we would be very happy to support an event.
Yes.
But yeah, we do not have the
NailOn would be there.
Time capability of running it. So, oh yes, Dana Lynn runs an event. You tell them, girl. Tell them it's time.
What does Dana Lynn run? Please enlighten me.
Oh gosh.
Dana Lynn, what do you run?
Are you Long Island or Rhode Island? I'm confused. Please post a link to your event.
Amy.
Yes, Dana Lynn works really hard and she does a really cool event, and I feel horrible that it's escaping me. I'm gonna blame it on my concussion.
She says 2, Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
There it is. Perfect. So yes.
And thank you, Dana Lynn. Do you have do you have links to those you can put in the comments?
Yes, please put links to those in the comments for us.
All right.
So is there anything else you guys would like to add for advice on budgeting, for advice on travel? Just kind of a shout out for yes, networking is super important, or how to choose an event, or if you have an event that you love, post a link to the event that you adore in the comments so that other viewers will have it.
She posted it for us. Thank you, NailOn.
Yes, perfect. Mine must be running a few seconds behind yours.
You keep freezing, so you're
excellent. I'm glad you're on the ball.
Well, it depends on the moment in the day.
All right, so can we get some hearts? Did you enjoy today's broadcast? Do you feel like you learned a little something? Maybe got some ideas for how to save for some education?
One final question there. Where do you find the events? Aside from watching us, which we mentioned at the beginning of every broadcast.
Kim, I did a blog that lists links to a good majority of the events. If you want to private message me, I'm happy to send it to you. Or if I remember, I will go back through the comments and leave a link to it in the comments. Also, Nails Magazine Facebook page or Nails Magazine website.
Nails Magazine website, if you go to the blogs and look up Holly, you can see all of her blogs archived.
Yes.
So it's in there.
Also, the Nails Magazine website lists events. If you will just do a search even on Facebook, a lot of the events have Facebook pages. Ask other nail professionals, hey, do you go to any events? That's a good way to find out about new ones. There's one in Oregon too. I forgot Oregon. So there's events all over the place that would make it easier for you to get to one if you're looking for something regional to miss less time out of the salon. Oh, good. Dana's posting all of hers.
And I know sometimes we have a tendency to, as nails, I kind of made this joke yesterday in a class that nails was like the redheaded stepchild of the cosmetology industry. We feel like we can be not as focused on, we're not that we're not important, but we're not as focused on in big trade shows, like Chicago, like Orlando, whatever, that seem to focus more on hair. And you hear, there's never anything for nails. There is. You just have to be diligent about looking for it and trying to get yourself there.
Yes. And whether it's a trade show or a networking event or a multiple day class, you're going to get into it, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So if you go to the trade show and you walk around and pout at the hair companies, that's what you're going to get out of the show. It's going to be boring and miserable. But if you seek out the classes, you may find, oh wow, only 5 other people found this class. So I'm getting education from an educator that normally charges $300 for a class, and there's only 5 of us. So make sure that you do your due diligence and find the things that you want to find, because you are going to get out of it what you put into it.
And so you never know really what you could get out of it, because we met at our very first master's class either one of us ever went to, and here it's a lifelong friendship and partners in crime. She ain't getting rid of me now.
Right? Like, we've already talked about how to do each other's nails when we pass. Like,
yes.
Hardcore friendship.
Yep. All right, we're over our hour.
Oh, one last thing.
Okay,
Morgan mentioned manufacturer websites also list events where they'll be available. So
thank you, Morgan.
Another option as well. Perfect. Does that finish it up now?
I think that covers.
I think we're good. Feel free to keep leaving links to events that you love in the comments. The comments aren't going to go away, so that other people can still find those links. And when I get a chance to download the broadcast and put it on YouTube, I'll go through the comments and pull all those links to put them in the caption of the broadcast. So if you're watching this on YouTube, the links to the shows and events are in the caption.
Link in the bio, almost.
Right. Very similar. All right. So until next time,
nail on. This hand's on that side.
The button is down right